I want her to notice what I don't notice. Space between us now, it's just like miles. And I've only...
Okay, so we've done the suspension, we've done some trays in the back of the Patrol. Now, that bar there, I want it gone. I want a winch bar, and I want to have nice fog lights, everything on here, so it's all contained. It's got the good old alloy bar. Yeah, they're nice, they're light, it serves a purpose, it's pretty good, but I want a winch. I've always had winches, just in case you get stuck, always helps out. So, lucky enough, this has arrived, finally. So, this one, we're going to get this mounted onto that, chuck a winch in it, also get these all fitted up with these lights as well. I'm going to have my coffee and get stuck into it. So we'll get stuck into it and see how we go. So for this first part here, I've just got to undo this bolts for the old bull bar. The old bull bars, they've only got like 3 bolts each side, so nice and simple. 6 bolts and undone, and it pops off. I actually had to use the breaker bar on a few of these bolts because they've been on there for a fair few years. And as you can see, I'm just working out of my carport on the ground, doing this at home. No one else was helping me, so I got stuck into it. So because I was by myself, I grabbed the engine hoist, which come really in handy, considering it's only like $200. Cheap. I've used this thing plenty of times. It comes in so handy. Just got to extend it out to get a bit of range, give me some room around the bull bar. So I've strapped it up, and you can see it's got pretty equal on each side. I've also made it so that the chains don't move at all, so it stays in that central point. So when I do lift it, I just took up a little bit of pressure, pulled it off. Take off the spotlights. I'm going to keep those, put those on for the new bull bar. So this is the time, pull out everything in the box, have a look, go through your materials list, double check that you've got everything, make sure the package is suited for your car, lay it all out, get it all prepped and ready. Got some wiring looms. So, read the instructions. Comes in handy. It tells you what to do. You don't miss a step. You get it done. The brand new bull bar. Look at that. It's looking so good. The one thing about this bull bar though, the paint was still fresh, so it was very soft. So I had to be so careful lifting it, putting it on. So I was being very gentle the whole time. So nice ARB deluxe bull bar for the GU, colour coded to match as well, so looks pretty good. So here what I've done is they've got rubber mounts that go onto the front of the bull bar, just little bump stops, doing up the nuts. So they're a little bit fiddly, these nuts, to do up on the inside. So you've got to get in there. I think they were about a 10mm spanner. and I found a little socket into it, but a little ratchet socket's the best. Putting the adjusters on the front, so those adjusters go on and they'll actually set the bull bar in and out. These are the actual internal brackets. They bolt onto the bull bar and then also onto the chassis and the GE. There's 2 bolts, there's a couple little special washers that you've got to put in between, so make sure you don't miss those. Also make sure you use the right length bolts as well, because I've noticed in the pack that there were 2 very similar bolts. Just make sure you use the correct ones. Yes, the place is a mess at the moment, so I've got to clean that up. So here I'm just checking things out, making sure they fit, put the insert in, getting it ready. They were a little bit tight to push those inserts in and to mate up the surface, but when they were tightened up they went in fine, they were perfect. So they just mount on the inside of that rail, and then you've got another washer and a nut that goes on the outside. You can see the 2 special inserts just there that I'm just pulling out. Don't ask me why it's taken so long to figure out what's going on here. Oh good, we got to the winch. So we finally got those 2 brackets on there, and now this is just a winch I've had in the shed for a while, so I thought, no, it's time to get her out and use it. Just a cheap winch. I find that most winches are all the same these days. Even you pay for the good ones, they break down. You pay for the bad ones, they break down. But mind you, you do get some good ones. One of the best winches I ever had was actually a cheap winch, which was only 300 bucks, and that thing did Australia 6 times, so it's really good. So here I've just put on some of the earth wires, the wiring behind the back because they're too hard to get to. Bolt the winch in. Now I'm setting up also to check where the control box is going to sit, so I've just got a bracket for at the front. Got the winch just sitting there, just mounted. It's bolted in, just sitting ready to go. So I figured out wiring, getting these wires through. I'm just making sure I've got good lengths. They're not going to get hit with anything. They're not going to get in the way of the rope. So you can see I wasn't happy with that point there, so no, I'm changing this across. I'm going to get this a bit closer. The power supply cable. Once again, you can see the instructions are out, so I'm not mucking it up. So stuffing away, getting that prep ready for when the bar is actually in the car. So got the spotties on, got it lifted up, protected. It's time to get it on. So it's lifted up in position. Got a few bolts, just nice and loose. I keep everything loose. Get these bolts all put in. So you can see top bolt, bottom bolt. So there's 3 bolts onto the chassis, 2 bolts for the bull bar. I actually used a spacer in the top of this one just to lift the bull bar up ever slightly. The adjusters that we were talking about before, wind these out so that way it tilts the bull bar back. And as you can see, yeah, there's a bit of gap there, so it's not sitting right. I've just got it there mounted, so you can see the gap. It's massive. Same on this side, yeah, massive gap. You can see the headlight. So now put the fair lead on, get this done up. So this also holds the winch as well, so I actually used longer bolts to go through. Setting up the inside, tightening up all the wiring, make sure it's not going to get cut on any edges, any sharp edges, because after like 500 k's of corrugations they could rub through. So be careful this stage, wire it up, get it nice and tight, keep it out of harm's way. Wiring up to the battery, very simple to do winches. You've only got the two wires, positive and negative, going to your battery. Here I had to change my aerial, so changed that out, moved it and mounted my UHF radio. These lights, I got the Spotties kit for these ones, and all you have to do is just cut these little plastic inserts out with the Stanley, just clean them up on the inside. In hindsight, I should have put these in before I actually inserted that plastic insert, but look, it still was easy enough to do. They just click into two pin locks on the side, and then it's one screw at the top, so you can adjust them up and down. Very simple. Just do this screw, and you can see the light, just how it tilts up and down, so that way it gives you your vision. You can align those later. So I aligned those later on that night and just got them set where I wanted them, and it helps a lot actually, especially when I was driving through the bush a few weekends ago. It was good actually having those little lights there. Doing the wiring, so a couple of Deutsch plugs to put in. I actually found that my wiring was a bit back to front, so had to reverse the two wires because I had Parkers on instead of indicators and vice versa. So quick change, pulled out the Deutsch plug connectors, chunked them across, and yeah, they did up fine. More zip ties. So wiring up the spotty, so there's a massive wiring loom. There's so much wires for those two little lights down the bottom. It's crazy. I couldn't believe how much wiring there was. So pulling it in, you've got to wire it into your high beam. You've also got another button on the inside, which you've got to have by law, so you can turn them on and off. So it's all the fun of running wires through the firewall like this. So like enough, I had to pull an old cable out, put a trace wire through, pulling in more wires, and then you've got to take that yellow wire from your cab out the trigger, so vice versa, pull them all in and out, and you'll be right. But here she is, all good. Look at that, nice gaps, looking good. Yeah, that looks sweet. You